recipe I'm super excited about because it's fast and it's easy. Yay for that. For this recipe, you can use any kind of blender, and you can even mix it by hand if you want to. You don't even have to have a blender. But I'm going to use a blender because I know it works and it helps to smooth things over. So the first ingredient is a ½ cup of any kind of nut or seed butter. Yesterday, the ones I made, which I'm going to show you in a minute, I used pumpkin seed butter, which I made myself. Today, I'm going to use almond butter. So if you're someone who's like sensitive to nuts or almonds, you can always use pumpkin seed butter. Okay, so ½ cup going in the blender. This is my handy dandy Wonder Cup, which gets all the stuff out. And then the next ingredient, maybe Caitlin, do you have it right in front of you? Can you read it to me?
Oh, I do not.
Okay, well, I'll just pull it out on my handy dandy app, which some of you guys have asked about, but we use an app called Paprika, and it's awesome. There it is. So I've got it in my app, so I'm going to read it off of that. So ½ cup of nut butter, 6 tablespoons coconut oil melted. Now this part's important because we're going to freeze these, and this is what gives it that fatty mouthfeel. And we call these fat bombs because we really believe that, as we keep mentioning, satisfaction is key to getting off of sugar and getting off of even carbs, is feeling satisfied, because we know sugar and carbs are a go-to when we're feeling like, I don't feel like I've been getting enough. So the coconut oil is amazing for your brain. It actually helps clean out old bad fats. Like if you're someone who's been eating fried food, this will clean out your cells and all your your veins, your blood vessels. It'll get you cleaned out. So coconut oil is an amazing, awesome food. We love it in our coffee as well. And then the next ingredient is chai spice. And you guys have the recipe for that. It's got things like nutmeg and cinnamon and ginger and a little black pepper. And I just love it. I made a big batch of it, so I'm not going to make it today. But that calls for 2 whole tablespoons. And you can also use pumpkin pie spice or even just cinnamon if you want it to be super cinnamony. Ginger would be great in this, just pure ginger, because it tastes like a gingerbread cookie. So experiment around with that, but I'm going to use the chai spice in there, 2 tablespoons. And then our stevia. So it says 1/8 of a teaspoon of this brand, which is the super strong stuff. If you have something that has inulin in it, you might need to add a little bit more than 1/8 of a teaspoon. So I'm doing 2/16. You might need to use up to like 1/4 of a teaspoon if it's something with inulin in it. So just read the label on the stevia that you have. And this is where you could also, if you just really hate stevia and you're like, I'm not going to do it, 1 teaspoon of coconut sugar or 1 teaspoon of honey, because this is going to make 22 little candies. So if you divide that up, that's hardly anything in each bite. So keeping that in mind, and then just taste it before you actually pour it in the molds to see if like it doesn't need any more sweetener. And that's where you can do the trick with a little bit of honey or a little bit of coconut sugar and then just a dash of stevia, and you're going to notice it just really blows up the flavor of it, the sweetness profile. The next ingredient says ½ teaspoon of mineral salt, but I want to tell you, start with 1/4 teaspoon. So make a note on your recipe, because I made it with ½ teaspoon yesterday, and while it was delicious and I loved it, I thought it was just, I could notch it down a little bit on the saltiness. So I have like a heaping 1/4 teaspoon, a little bit more than 1/4 teaspoon. Now salt is really ideal in this because it helps also that sweetness. It'll make it pop. We noticed that like we'll be making a recipe and it's like I could, like a pie, let's say like cheesecake. I'm like, I could add more sweetener at this point, or I could add just a pinch of salt. And what do you know? You add the pinch of salt and your tongue lights up and everything changes. So that salt really makes a difference in going low glycemic. And then the other ingredient we have here is some vanilla extract, just regular organic vanilla extract from the store, ½ teaspoon. This always reminds me of chocolate chip cookies. I love that smell. Now I am going to add the optional ingredients, but you don't have to, because some of you might not even have these. But we use something called Longevity in a Bottle. It's a mix of medicinal mushrooms and healthy roots and herbs and things like that are longevity, like anti-aging. They have all the things, like they tick off like all the mushroom bells, like the lion's mane, which is brain food, the turkey tail, which helped, I forget his name, Paul Stamets' mother heal from cancer. It's got, cordyceps. It's got all the good stuff in it. So it says 1 teaspoon of this. And that means every time you eat one of these, you're getting the healthy medicinal mushrooms in there. We love that. You can put reishi in there, put whatever you want. And then the last optional ingredient is a half a cup of chopped almonds or nuts or seeds. I'm gonna go ahead and just sprinkle those on top at the end. So right now I'm just gonna blend all of this up. It doesn't really take long to blend because there's nothing in there that's chunky at all. I mean, unless you have a really thick nut butter. And if you do, I suggest like warming it up a little bit. What I usually do is just take, like I had this jar with the coconut oil in it, just stick it in a saucepan. So you can do that with your nut butter as well. And that's gonna help it blend easier and it won't be lumpy. So now what I have is this peanut butter cup molds. If you have heart molds or whatever you've got on hand, honestly, you could even put a piece of wax paper down on a cookie sheet and pour it out and then freeze that and then cut it into little squares. Whatever you've got, don't let not having, you know, candy molds stop you. But these are available online and we get the silicone ones and I love the peanut butter cup ones. So now what I'm gonna do is just take it and pour it in here. It's just that easy. And you can always taste it first to find out if you want it to be sweeter or if you want to change anything. I'm not even going to fill them all the way full because they're pretty rich and you really only just need one. And I counted yesterday and it made 22. But I'm doing them like 7/8 full. I'm not doing them 100% full.
Yeah, Maria asked, where can I use David Wolf's mushroom protein powder? Yeah, any medicinal mushroom powder would be great in these. That's why we love just adding in the extra, you know, nutrition into our little treats because it just gets it into our body a lot easier.
And we put it in our coffee too, for whoever asked about that. You can put like a tablespoon of that into your coffee if you're blending your coffee in the morning. And we have a recipe called keto coffee that we just love. And we put the medicinal mushrooms in there because that way, you know, a lot of us, and I'm one of the perfect examples, is I'm not like finding a time in my day to just take medicinal mushrooms. Like, when am I going to have that? So I know I drink either coffee or when I'm not drinking coffee, I'll drink hot tea in the morning. So I'll blend that up with a little scoop of coconut oil and that's my little hot beverage for the morning. And I'm always getting my medicinal foods in my body. So if you have that protein powder, that's a perfect place to put it. I know that sounds weird in coffee, but it actually tastes delicious. So now I'm using what's called an offset spatula to just smooth this out. And some have a little bit more filling than others, as you can probably see, but that's okay. Depends on my hunger level. Now you guys saw me using these yesterday. These are just roasted pumpkin seeds. You can also use raw pumpkin seeds. These have salt on them as well. So I'm just going to, you know, do a sprinkle in each one. And you could also use chopped pecans, chopped walnuts, chopped almonds, whatever you've got around.
And Denise asked where you can purchase the longevity. I did pop the link in the chat box for that longevity powder that Elena used. And I'll be sure to put that in the call notes for the replay on this.
We have another one called Glow that I use every day, and that's called Hoshu Wu, which translates something like Mr. Wu has black hair. So it's a real like Chinese herb that has been known for longevity for years. A lot of the queens were using it as like their secret ingredient, like to reverse aging. So I make sure I get that in my coffee every day or in my chocolates or whatever I'm making. So these are actually now going to go popping in the freezer. I put them on a cookie sheet because this is flimsy, and if you've got it on a freezer rack and it's like, you know, you got things in your freezer, this will ensure it stays solid and upright. And I did clear a shelf, so it's important beforehand just to make sure you have one shelf that's clear. And then I'll just pop this in, but I'm going to take the other ones out. And I have a little dish here to put in. They should be set up. Oops, it's not flat, so I got to put it up here. I cleared a space, but then I uncleared it accidentally. Okay, so here we go. So these ones I did hearts, so you can see what the hearts look like and the little nuts on them. But yeah, they're just gonna pop right out. And you can refrigerate these, but honestly, both Caitlin and I love them out of the freezer. There's just something about that frozen little bite. And because of the amount of fat in there, your teeth will just bite right through it. And also if they're frozen and you're getting ready to head out the door, and you're like afraid that you might be tempted or you might need a snack while you're out, these will just, you can throw them in something and they'll stay cold, you know, because they're already frozen. So pop all those out, and then let me just get a little plate. My friend just came over this morning to help me fix my dryer, and so I sent him home with a few of these. So, you know, they're the perfect little gift as well. There we go. We got our little yummy chai peppers.
Yummy. Lynn says hers were a bit salty too, but she dipped hers in chocolate and salted almond chocolate cups. That sounds delicious. Yeah, you could melt down some of the Lily's chocolate chips and dip them in chocolate. I would definitely do that. That sounds really yummy.
Oh, and that's the other thing you could use in here too. Is there's something at Trader Joe's. They're 100% chocolate chips, no sugar at all added, and it's organic. If you ask them at Trader Joe's about that. But I know that more and more people are coming out with those now. So there are 100% cacao chips that you could also throw in here as just to add chocolate to it, like instead of the nuts or seeds. I love that. Great idea.
Yeah, super good idea. And then Susan asks, what's the best protein powder that's grain-free and bean-free? We love hemp protein powder. There's another one called Sacha I don't know how to say.
Yeah.
Inchi. Yeah, Sacha Inchi. And that's a really high protein seed. So we usually stick to the seed powders, like the hemp or that one.
In fact, I just ordered hemp seed protein powder from nuts.com, and it was organic. So that's actually, a lot of people ask us about our sources, and we do give a lot of sources in the month-long training. But if you're wondering where to get some good nuts and seeds, Mountain Rose Herbs is a good source, Terrasol, and also nuts.com. And make sure it's organic when you're looking at it, because like things like almonds are highly sprayed, and you don't want to get non-organic. And this one's worth making. I just want to tell you, it's so good when you want that sugary treat. Just make it.
Make it.
All right, we'll see you guys on Friday for those of you who join us for the love camp.
Bye, everyone. Thanks again.